Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. As you can tell by the title, we are going to be doing our preseason ACC football tier list. I've already done the Big 10 and the Big 12, so make sure you go check out those videos after watching this one, of course. If you are new here, my name is Benji and I run Snap to Tip Off, a college sports media brand where we cover college football and college basketball all year round. If you're new, make sure to subscribe. It really helps me out and doesn't take you more than a few seconds. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright, we are going to be making this tier list on tiermaker.com. As you can see over on the left here, we got natty contender, playoff contender, good, mid, and horrible. This is purely just how good I think each football team will be this season. Nothing to do with like how I think they'll finish in the conference standings or anything like that based on schedules or whatnot. But we're going to go ahead and go in alphabetical order here. Plus we have Notre Dame in this one, so we'll include them in there at the end. But starting with Boston College, I think they're going to be horrible. I think this might be the worst team in the ACC this season. They're maybe the worst team last season. They just don't have a ton of talent. Bill O'Brien might be on his way out. It might be another rough season for Boston College this year. I don't think much more explanation is needed on there. Second here, we got Cal. I'm going to put Cal, I don't know, I'm between good and mid. A lot of people think Cal is going to be a sleeper in the ACC this year. I'm not quite as high on them as most people are. I do think JKS, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name at quarterback, will be the truth. I think he'll be really good, but I don't think they're going to be quite like a playoff contender, a conference title contender or anything, but I think they'll be good. I think their offense could carry them to maybe 6, 7, 8 wins. Clemson, I think, is also going to be good. I don't think they're going to be a playoff contender or ACC contender once again. They had way more talent last year and went 7-5. I do think Dabo Swinney does have like a desperation kind of season, if you want to call it that. I don't think he's like on the hot seat or anything, but just like a bounce back season in him, even though he might not have as much talent this season on paper as he did last year. I think he kind of does better when people are doubting him. So I think they'll be good, solid 7 or 8 win team. Syracuse, I think, is going to be mid. They were arguably the worst team in the ACC last season after Steve Angeli went down, but they get Angeli back this year. They were much better with him than without him. I think if he stays healthy, they will be an okay team. Not as bad as last year, at least, but not anywhere, like probably not as good as these two teams or anything. Duke, I think, is also going to be in mid. Technically, they're defending ACC champions, but everyone knows they weren't actually the best team in the conference last season, and they're probably going to be even worse this season. They lose Darian Mensah to Miami. I don't love Walker Egan at quarterback. I don't love the talent around them. They lost some other talent in other positions as well. I don't think they're going to be that great under Manny Diaz. They're going to be mid this season. Florida State, I mean... I could really see them, if you go back to the end of the season and they're anywhere from this horrible category all the way up to this playoff contender category, I would not be shocked. Like, nothing they could do will shock me this season. I wouldn't be surprised if they crash and burn and Mike Norvell's fired halfway through the season. And I wouldn't be shocked if they somehow rattle off like 9, 10, 11 wins based on the talent they have. I'm going to put them in mid just because I'm not going to put them in horrible just because of the talent they do have and the upside they still have shown in the last few years. But I don't trust them enough to put them any higher than mid to actually be good enough to like compete for a conference title or just compete with these good teams up here. Georgia Tech, I'm going to put them in good. I think under Brent Key, they will always be a solid team, a solid program. They do lose Haynes King, which will hurt. He did so much for them, especially in close games last season, that it might be tough. They're going to have to find other ways to win close games, but I trust Alberto Mendoza. I love bringing in Justice Haynes. I think they'll still be a good team. NC State, I think I'm going to put them in good, but I think they might be the best of these good teams so far. They might be one of my most underrated teams in the country. That offense led by CJ Bailey is going to be absolutely lethal. Dave Doran's seat is warming up a little bit, and I don't know how well the defense will be, but I think at least the offense might be the most underrated unit in the country heading into the year. Pitt, I think, is around the same level as NC State. I also think they'll be pretty good. Their offense should be pretty good, led by Mason Heinschel, should be one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC this season as well. Pat Narduzzi's always a good coach. He'll always put together a solid Pitt squad. SMU, I think, is going to be the first playoff contender we have. I think this is going to be a top 2 or 3 team in the ACC this season, maybe go to the ACC championship. They're in my preseason top 25 that I will be dropping on here in a couple days, so stay tuned for that. But, I mean, they have pretty much everything you want to contend for an ACC title. They have the quarterback, Kevin Jennings. They have Rhett Lashley that's still there, kept a lot of their other pieces from the last couple of years, and they've been really good. Obviously, playoff appearance a couple of years ago. 3 points short last year, making back-to-back ACC title games. I think SMU is a playoff contender until proven otherwise. Stanford, I also am going to put in horrible. Nothing really impresses me about Stanford heading into the season. Maybe they can surprise me. Maybe they can pull an upset or two, but I don't think it's going to be much more than than 1 or 2 ACC wins. Stanford's just not a very good program right now. Miami is a national title contender. They're the one national title contender in the ACC this season. They obviously made the national title game last season and arguably more talented than last season. Absolutely loaded with talent on both sides of the ball. I think Darian Mensah is going to be an upgrade from Carson Beck. I do think the defense might take a minor step back just after losing Ruben Bain and Nakeem Mesidor. It's just those two were so insanely good, especially in the playoff and that playoff run. It's going to be really hard to replace that kind of talent. I still think they'll be good up front, but maybe not quite as dominant. Maybe like a top 10 defensive front instead of like a top 1 or 2 defensive front. And I think that might, so I think they'll be around as good as last year is what I'm saying. I do think the offense will be a little better. Defense won't be quite as good. Louisville, I think, is a playoff contender. I think they're right there with SMU, two very similar caliber teams. I do think Louisville will improve as the season goes on with the amount of transfers they have, including Lincoln Kienholz at quarterback. Kienholz, not for sure how to pronounce that. But either way, I think he'll improve throughout the season. He apparently almost beat out Julian Sayin for the starting job at Ohio State before transferring to Louisville. So if that's the case, then he should be a pretty good quarterback theoretically. I trust him. I trust Jeff Brom to put together a good team. I think they're a top 2 or 3 team in the ACC right there with SMU. North Carolina, I'm going to probably put in horrible again. I think Bill Belichick's running that program into the ground, if I'm being honest. He obviously is the GOAT of NFL coaches. He's a very good NFL coach. College is a completely different game. You can't just come in and expect to turn North Carolina into the 33rd NFL team like they always said they were going to. It just doesn't work that way. He has not been doing a good job. I think this is going to be Bill Belichick's last year with the program. Virginia, I'm also going to put in good. There are just a lot of good, solid ACC teams right here. Virginia, very veteran team, obviously went to the ACC title last year, was really close to making the playoff if they could have beaten Duke in overtime. Bo Perbula, very experienced quarterback. Obviously, he'll be in a little bit of a new system, but still very experienced quarterback, dual threat quarterback that I think will be pretty good for them. And I think the Cavaliers will be a pretty good team once again. Virginia Tech, year 1 under James Franklin, I am also going to put them in good. I still think James Franklin's maybe a top 10 to 15 coach in the entire country. He just couldn't get over the hump at Penn State, but he built them up into a top 5 to 10 program over his tenure there. He's bringing a lot of guys from Penn State over to Virginia Tech, bringing in a lot of other talent that I really like. I think Ethan Grunkemeyer is going to be a very good quarterback. A lot of things to like about this year's Virginia Tech team. I think they could win 8 or 9 games with a pretty favorable schedule as well. Wake Forest, they were surprisingly pretty good last year at 8-4, but I do think some of that might have been a little lightning in the bottle. It did help to have Robbie Ashford, I was blanking on his name for a second, at quarterback. He was an electric quarterback. They lose him. In comes Gio Lopez. I don't know if he's going to be quite as good as Robbie Ashford. I don't know if their defense is going to be quite as good as last season. And so I'm going to put them in mid. I still think they'll be better than these horrible teams and probably around the same level as these other mid teams. Maybe 6-6 would be their record this year, but I don't think they're quite as good as any of these good teams. And then Notre Dame, technically not in the conference, but they're on this list, and so I'll just put them in natty contender anyway. Obviously, they're not going to go to the ACC title or anything because they're not in the conference, but I still think they're bona fide natty contenders, probably still as good or around as good as Miami is. They have everything you want on both sides of the ball. You can criticize their schedule all you want, and that's a popular subject matter, but that doesn't determine how good the team is itself. And Miami's schedule is probably even easier than Notre Dame if you compare the two. And so I think this Notre Dame team has everything you want in a national title contending team. I think they'll be right there at the end of the season. But yeah, this is my full ACC football tier list heading into this season. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, if you change anything, if you think teams are too high, too low. And I'll try and respond to your comment. But yeah, once again, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.